Do you know what to do with this table? It feels like we're not a table. Would you? I think this table is kind of big.
I have the itchy luncheon today.
Thank you for organizing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Still haven't figured out this freaking second. I did this test yesterday and I kind of to do. I was trying to live stream from the website. Gotcha. I can't do it on whatever we have. Oh, really? Isn't it just like a post? Just a type of post? I know, but I can't do it from my phone. Live video and shoot it. All right. Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not, I wish I could help. I'm not very good at that at all. We might have someone that's an expert in the house, but
It never works out that way.
Okay, so it actually has been 15 minutes. Notice. I feel the containers. Lauren, Tim, Mauricio. You guys get your for a second? Okay, so first thing I want to know, which group is which? Today, and growth partners with HGVC over here in this corner. Then we've got cultural interpretation, trainings, and resources over here. Oh, again? Sorry, I was cutting out. And then we've got Lauren doing professional careers in tourism. Lauren. And we've got Mauricio Review, sustainable and efficient operations in the far corner. And then we got Tim Laura doing mitigating impacts on marine life over there. All right. So if you can, unless you don't feel like you got enough conversation in, and we got another 15 minutes. Thank you.
Figure it out. Looks like.
Yeah, I got it now. I just got to do my quick MailChimp out. Oh, darn it. I just closed it.
Do you have access to the conference Wi-Fi?
Yeah, conference. And then it's 11 CTR 2018. And just and then just do a quick look for me of that schedule. Make sure that's basically what it is before I email this real fast.
Yep. No, it's all right. Yep.
Okay, I'm sending.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll take this and make a rotation, please. Either parking allocated.
Yeah. Hey, YouTube. So. Ah, that sucks. Yeah, it might be once it starts streaming. So I'll stop it and then I'll start it again. And sit down and I'll set it. So. Yeah, no, it is. It's so.
He's doing some Facebook Live actually. Yeah.
We're getting there. We're 10 minutes out. She printed out
There's a lot of topics. There are the great things that you set up there for there's a lot
It's not halfway up the floor onto the rail, and all of a sudden it starts falling on it. Falls down. I can't take this up. It was so funny because looking around, you know, it was almost like you didn't get caught. So we go, I'm going. And he was like held on to the line, and all of a sudden it like started
Yeah, I haven't gone and checked it.
I mean, I didn't check
All right. So good.
And they made a deal on each one of those before you can see
Really started just a massive community. So already we have something that's different. All of the knowledge is right there. But it's kind of yeah, then they started running multiple as long as the guys that continue to keep learning, so you create a learning environment. But like these thirsty for knowledge events, we'll bring in people. The big thing is we have a whole our whole guide levels, lessons. Mainly continue and also different skill sets you have. Any kind of certification, something like that. And then also, they to maintain at certain levels, they have to go to so many. They have to show that they've gone through different things that continued education. So yeah, so it's all point based. They come up for review. If they don't have that, then they don't.
50 companies. We're not about so basically, that 5 years ago, you had all this years piece of paper that had to travel around back to you guys, and back to the back office, track all that. So now we're actually able to connect the concierge with your inventory and the gas to make sure that that paper trail gets eliminated. So that number, who made the booking, where the booking who's the gas, and all that gets done digitally. So you don't have to rely on this piece of paper to travel around everywhere back to you. Waivers are we already in the same step where now you don't have to get people to sign waivers, they arrive and store thousands of waivers every day. You guys probably have, so I was talking about a warehouse full of waivers. I'm like, yeah, you guys probably have one of those. We're 7, you guys start for 7 years. So all this is ways that technology can reduce the paper trail. And then the last one that we spoke about it and not quite there yet is the flight. Sure, I'm like I said before, I'm a big fan of flyers. I think there's a connection.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, like everyone take your seats, please. And get the program started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I can steal your attention, please. First off, I want to say thank you very much to everyone for attending. About a week ago, we had about 6 people, and we ended up with about 98 people that ended up our speaking. So big hands to everyone. All right, one bit of housekeeping. If you haven't gotten validation yet, please, outside, they're going to be validating for just a couple more minutes. And then if you forget to validate, you're just going to have to validate at the front desk when you go. And then, well, I don't know why this thing is not starting or not working.
Was working to stop.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be really loud. All right, so I think we're gonna first start off with an Oli Aloha. We've got Adam Keawe Manalo Camp, Hawaiian cultural historian, joining us today. Thank you very much, and if you want to come up.
So I'm going to begin with a Oli Aloha. Ia ike kanapa e kumumalo o kaina o hamo hamo aloha aloha aloha
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I don't know why this thing is, can you guys hear it or no? Kind of. You can hear me? Okay. If you can't, I'll yell. I'm really good at it. All right, so aloha everyone. My name is Chris Barsman. I'm the president of the Hawaii Ecotourism Association. I want to say thank you all for being here. It's really an honor to have everyone here. It's a real testament to how much this organization has grown, both in terms of our certification program, we've got a ton of tour operators, but also in terms of our membership base and the support that we get from everyone. So I just want to say, first off, thank you very much for all of your guys' support. Without you, we wouldn't be able to be the organization that we are today. We are in our 22nd year as an organization. I'm smacking this thing works every so often. So it's a real testament to everyone's dedication and the board and everything like that. So my first little bit is to get into some mahalos. Oh, wrong direction. So first I want to, I can have everyone from the board of directors please stand up for a second. All right, thank you. I left my sheets on. So I'm just going to go around and introduce everyone. So we've got Mike Bell over there. We got Jamie Takuno. She's the secretary for us. Ray Musa in the back. Got Dan Maltenberg. He's our treasurer over here. Andy Carey. Tim McKay, who's our vice president. And Tim Laura up front with us from Okay, hands up. So thank you to the board. I do want to use this as an opportunity. 3 of our board members are being rotated off to term limits that we have executive of our executive charter. With that, this is my call to action. We have a great spot right now. We're at a point where our certification program is somewhat self-sustained. We're trying to work to a point where we can actually, quick thing, gentlemen, if you guys want to start serving south, go for it. That's fine. But we're getting to the point where we can self-sustain the organization and not rely as much on grant funding. That's a really great place to be, but we do need board members to come and join us. So reach out to the board members that I just pointed out, talk to them, ask about what it's all about. We're looking for both certified operators to join the board, but we're also looking for people that are outside of the tour operator world, the hotel industry, marketing, media, advertising, things like that, because there's a lot of different ways. One thing that our tour operators all would love more is a little bit more promotion on our side. We would love to support that, but that's not something that we're necessarily experts at. So if you've got some expertise in that area, social media, things like that, help us out. We love your support. Now I want to do a little special shout out to our special advisors and consultants. If you two can stand up for me, please. So we've got Linda Cox, our extraordinaire. We'll talk about her a little bit more in a minute, but she's an academic advisor to the board and helps us with just about everything. And then we've got Lauren Blickley over here. She's our certification program manager. She is now very much probably the one that almost of you have contact with on the regular list if you're a tour operator. So big help to big. All right, and then one last one, corporate sponsors. First thing I want to say, tour operators are not allowed to become members of our organization unless they go through our certification process. So we don't allow the corporate sponsorship money to influence us. I just want to put that up front. These are people that have just chosen to go beyond their typical certification fees and have chosen to support in an additional manner. So big round of applause to Atlantis Adventures, Hawaiian Paddle Sports, Seacoast Hawaii, Valley Isle Excursions, Body Boat Cruises, and Kapoho Kind Adventures. Thank you. And then what I'm going to do is just a quick recap. You're not here for me to hear me talk, but I just want to cover a couple of things that we did in 2018, and then a couple of things that we're going to be looking forward to in 2019. First thing, 2018, we got a $50,000 grant from the Hawaii Tourism Authority. So big round of applause to the Hawaii Tourism Authority for their support. It was a bit of a struggle to get us to the point of getting that grant. It took well over a year to make it happen, but their support is amazing. It's really put us in a position where we can take this program to the next level. We've also continued to strengthen the partnership with the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau. Thank you again for tabling for us, but also I just want to point out, that's a little too loud. On the website, I just want to point out now, you're a certified tour operator. You should now have our certification logo on the Go Hawaii website, and it's helping you with the search engine optimization on their website. So certified tour operators are the first ones when you're looking for activities. They're going to be the ones that are populating the top of the list for whatever category you're within. So I just want to point that out. That's a big win for us, and it's a big win for our certified tour operators that are really trying to push the needle forward and make positive impacts in the community. We worked with the Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association. We're really going to do a big kick for the charity walk this year. So we really want to look for everyone's support for that one. That's going to be a really awesome opportunity for us to fundraise this year. We're going to go a little bit more into the certification program with Lauren, but a couple things to hit on. We've updated our checklist, made it stronger. We've also added the Pono travel program, which you don't know about. Lauren's going to go into a little more detail, but it's an awesome opportunity for our members to really get engaged. As most of you are well aware, we also increased our membership dues. Thank you for understanding where we're coming from. Once again, the reason why we're doing it is because we're trying to get things. We want to become a self-sustaining organization. We need the funds that come in to be able to support our certification program so that we aren't beholden to grants. We don't have to be chasing them all down all the time. So thank you all for supporting that change, providing your input. Now that's on a sliding scale based on the size of your company. And we based it based on the feedback that we got from you from last year's survey. So again, thank you for your input. Thank you for supporting the organization. One big thing that I really am very proud of us that we put together is a complaint procedure. As we know, tourism in Hawaii, there's definitely an opportunity for there to be some conflict between tour operators, sometimes between the community and our tour operators, and we're not a body that's going to go out there and do verifications necessarily. We're not the ones that's going to go out there and do enforcement. But we now do have a process where when someone provides us a complaint, we ask them what the complaint is, provide us as much information as possible. We ask them what government organization manages what they're talking about so we can point them in the right direction and reach out to them. But then we also go to the tour operator and ask the tour operator to provide their input. And what we're trying to do is just work as a kind of a mediator between people that are having complaints. And again, our goal is not to enforce these rules, but if one of our tour operators is in violation of some of the rules that are out there or in violation of our checklist, we want to make sure that we make them aware of it, because we know that a lot of ownership doesn't get to go out on every single tour. And we understand that you may have the best processes in place, but they may not be executed at the visitor level. And so this is our opportunity to educate the owners and say, hey, did you know that some of your tour guides are saying this, or that some of your boats are going out and doing X, Y, or Z? So I'm really proud of that we now have this process in place so that we can kind of, again, be a liaison between people that are maybe have a problem with the tourism industry and the tour operators in this room that are really trying hard to make it the best happen. For 2019, we've got a couple of major things on the docket. We're looking at joining the Global Sustainable Tourism Council's accreditation. It's with the United Nations World Tourism Organization. We're trying to figure out a way to do it without taking on a whole bunch of costs. It's an international recognition. It's recognized around the world. But the problem with it is you have to bring in outside auditors that obviously have to get flown out here and put up in hotels and stay for a while. So we're trying to mitigate those costs and figure out ways to work with them without having you all take on the giant $3,000–4,000 certification costs. With that being said, and again, call to board members, join us in our organization, join these conversations, help us figure out the best way and whether or not these kind of certifications are really of value to you. We're also going to be doing some rapid OHIA depth trainings. We really want to partner with making sure that we mitigate some of the impacts on the natural resources. We're going to also do some interpretive guide trainings. And we're also just, again, trying to build out our membership base. So just a little bit about where we're at, what we went through, and where we're going. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I just want to give a little quick shout out to our luncheon. Big mahalo to Kualoa. They provided 100% grass-fed beef for our menu today. And we did try to make sure that we used as many local ingredients in the menu as possible. So let me introduce our keynote speaker. I want to say, first off, thank you very much to Mr. Mufi Hannan. He's the president and CEO of the Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association. It's the largest private sector visitor industry organization in the state. He's also the former mayor of Honolulu, the former Honolulu City Council chair. He's served in 4 presidential administrations, and he's worked for 2 Hawaii governors, including as the director of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. He's worked in the private sector for one of Hawaii's largest agro-businesses, which took him to the Big Island of Hawaii, where he's resided for many years. He serves on a number of nonprofit boards and organizations, including being a principal founder of the Pacific Century Fellows, a professional leadership development organization that's been in existence for nearly 20 years. Former Harvard and Iolani honored graduate, contributing thousands of dollars in educational sponsorships to students of Hawaii every year. And he's one of the most sought after speakers in Hawaii, so I feel very fortunate that we were able to have him join us today to speak a little bit on the topic of sustainability. Please welcome Mr. Mufi Hammond. Thank you.
Hello, my taco. Good afternoon, everyone. Aloha.
Aloha.
It's my pleasure to be with you today, especially an organization. It's all about making travel fun here in Hawaii. I might add, not just for our visitors, but also for our residents. We want to enjoy many of the features and attractions that we have in the state. We have been monitoring your activities. Certainly, we're very pleased that you're a member of our association. We hope to help you with your fundraising efforts with our charity. It's our signature event that's held every year. We raise millions of dollars statewide. We try to give it to worthy organizations like yours to ensure that your mission and your objectives are being met and fulfilled. At the end of the day, to make us all feel a part of what you're doing. I really love your mission statement: to protect Hawaii's unique natural environment, the host culture, through the promotion of responsible travel and educational programs relating to sustainable tourism for residents, business, and visitors. So I'm going to try to go through this very quickly. What I want to talk to you today about is an issue that should be at the forefront of everyone that's involved in the industry. The concept is called over-tourism. We have been the victims of our own success. We have seen record numbers of visitors coming to Hawaii. This year, it looks like we're hovering around the 10 million mark, despite the fact there's been a couple of natural disasters, despite the fact that we have unfortunately a strike going on in Waikiki. The numbers are going to continue to be very strong once this year is ended. And you find that throughout the world, tourism success is not only felt here in Hawaii, but in other places. According to the United World Tourism Organization, we expect 2018 to see another increase of 4 to 5%, and show that 1.38 billion visitors throughout the world visiting various destinations. In 2030, we're expecting it to reach a total of 1.8 billion. Now, whether you are a very developed country, whether you are a country that's still on the rise, if you will, experiencing challenges, everybody wants to embrace tourism. They see that as the quickest way to inject growth in your economy. They see that as the best way to ensure that jobs are plentiful, whatever that might be. And you're finding more and more now, any tourism conference is being held. This topic is coming up more and more. So I want to show everybody hear me? I'm going to start singing the song. So I want to talk about some of the suggestions that are coming up in these various conferences that are being held, or in places that are starting to grapple with this issue of over-tourism. Restricting visitor numbers, imposing caps, limiting flights, limiting cruise ships, all the way to imposing a visitor minimum daily expenditure, allowing access only on defined trails and monitoring visitors for compliance, impose time limits on site, impose strict rules on commercial tour operators. As you can see, they range from very extreme measures to some that you could consider kind of low-hanging fruit. You know, what's wrong with doing this and so forth. But the discussion is taking place. So here's 3 examples that is always pointed to in terms of where this issue has gotten to a point where folks are talking about. Let's take Boracay in the Philippines. The president, I just came back from the Philippines last week, or 2 weeks ago. The island of Boracay has fallen into disarray of over-tourism. Hence, President Duterte has demanded a 6-month closure of the island to rehabilitate. Additionally, illegal beachfront properties were bulldozed, new bans were implemented for one-use plastic, and hotels have been asked to reapply for new permits. They are very draconian measures taking place in the Philippines. Okay, next. Let's look at Machu Picchu. It has been placed on the list of World Heritage endangered by UNESCO. This is what they're talking about. The government has announced a 5-year, 43.7 million plan to protect the ruins. This includes limiting the amount of tickets sold per day, requiring an approved guide for tourists, and restricting visitors to specific trails in the ruins. Okay? Third example, let's go to Venice. Okay? The mayor there, a little bit about that job, has proposed a sitting ban, which would fine people up to $590 for taking a seat in any public space. We want you to move on. And sit and take up space, if you will. Great step. This follows a sitting ban on the Rialto Bridge and several major churches. Tourists have also been asked not to linger on the bridges too long and refrain from littering, riding a bike through the historic city center, and sightseeing in a bathing suit as part of the 2017 campaign, Enjoy, Respect, and Intimacy. Okay? So, it has always been my mantra, ever since I was state director of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism back in the 80s. There are 5 essential ingredients of a successful tourism destination. It held back then, and most true today. Marketing, okay? You need to set aside dollars for marketing. Government has to recognize it is their responsibility to have marketing dollars from our hard-earned taxes and taxes from visitors, and it has to be dedicated. They can't just rely on the private sector, the tour operators, to provide that marketing, because we're in a very competitive business. Secondly, airlift capacity. No, we're not having any problem at all attracting airlift to our state. But the condition of our airport is a shame. Very shameful. It's amazing that our state legislature for the past 3 sessions couldn't agree on passing a bill that will allow for an airport corporation. It would streamline the process, enable improvements, not just to Daniel K. International Airport, but the statewide airport system. I hear it all the time from visitors who come and say, man, you guys are supposed to be a sophisticated city. Some say the 13th largest city in the United States, but that airport, when is it going to get improved? Only recently, Wi-Fi was installed at the airport. This is something that should have been done years ago. So airlift capacity is very important. So people can come, if they want to, they can afford to. Very public safety. I've said for the longest time, even before I was mayor, your destination has to be safe and secure. If people don't feel that way, they will not come. We have been blessed to have some of the best public safety responders in the nation. Coupled with the fact that we have a large military presence in our community. I used that in the Obama administration to convince them to bring APEC to Honolulu. I said, I know New York's on the table, they wanted San Francisco on the table, but rest assured, there's a man-made or natural disaster. I think we're pretty good at that. So make sure no more false misreports. Next, low spirit. Very important. Once again, we keep talking, this is what separates us from a lot of places. This is the infectious spirit of the law. Everybody's got to be a part of it. We've got to continue to recognize everyone in this industry. I take great pride in the number of recognition, and I know you guys are doing it through the Euro Association. We need to do that. The more we can pat each other on the back, the more we can applaud each other and lift everybody up and make them see this is what makes us unique. Now, last point. This is what I want to focus on. There has to be an emphasis on infrastructure, attractions, and resources. Okay? The government has to drive that. Okay? Private sector tries at times to do as much as they can, but you know how it is. They also will come to decision when they're looking at their bottom line. Why am I being held responsible to do infrastructure improvements for most of Waikiki when there are other users that use the same? Okay? So I want to give you some examples. Let's go ahead. I want to give you some examples that I've had to deal with. I was dealing with over-tourism way back in the day when I was in the city council in the 1990s, Anama Bay. Okay. Then Mayor Harris wanted to restrict the number of visitors to go to Hanama Bay by extracting a fee. He said that everybody has to pay to go to the bay. The problem was he wanted to pay to the general fund, which means when it goes into a general fund, we go for everything else but for Hanama Bay. Okay, a special fund should go for that particular purpose. Secondly, we only wanted to charge visitors and not residents. I thought that was patently unfair. So I'm saying, I was on the council at that time, it's okay to let the locals have access to the beach and don't charge local style. Those are public beaches. You want to charge visitors, do that. But let's see where there's a fee that we can extract from both local and visitors, so the visitors don't feel there they go again trying to gouge us for everything. So the parking to Hanama Bay is a fee that we said whether you're a resident or local, you will pay. Also at that time, I said it was time to close the bay one day a week. We were overusing it. So popular, become rampant usage. And so we implemented that. Lastly, we needed an educational program for Hanama Bay. That's why you see that education center. And the Friends of Hanama Bay have stepped up and done a wonderful job. We need to educate people when they go down to the bay, what they can take, what they can't do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And explain to them that the fee that we're asking for them to go to Hanama Bay is for the preservation of Hanama Bay. So, say that to you because that bill was sailing through the council. We're going to allow that to happen. I'm just happy that that policy has stayed in place. Some things that city government is still siphoning money off and putting it to other parks instead of to Hanama Bay itself. That's happening. That's wrong. Always still council members and everybody else has been my job. That bay has to be preserved. So there's a special fund to do that. It's unconscionable to raid that special fund to fix other parts of the island that should be for Hanama Bay. It will continue to be very popular, not just for visitors, but for our residents. While we're speaking about our waters and oceans, I think another area of concern in the state, obviously, is sea level rise and the king tides on Maui, for example. We need to take a good hard look at appropriate shoreline setback laws in affected areas throughout the state, the application of appropriate infrastructure to proactively combat sea level rise, as well as identify and apply guidelines for new existing buildings in future high tide rate areas, and we need to take global warming seriously. And it's happening all the time. It's causing amazing weather conditions that are changing, and also putting a lot of people at risk from hurricanes, and typhoons, and cyclones. We see threat. We talk about the Alawai Canal. Yeah, this is a classic example. Is be careful for what you ask for, because it may happen. When I was campaigning to be mayor in 2004, I said the greatest fear was a sewage spill in Waikiki. No one took me seriously. They thought I was just saying that to attract attention to my campaign. But guess what happened? I had a 48 million gallon raw sewage spill in Waikiki, second year in office. That's because we had not been paying attention to the need to have things we were doing the nice to have. Planting trees, having park dedications, opening up swimming pools. We weren't taking care of the infrastructure. So in that particular year, we had over 40 days of nonstop rain, exacerbated by the construction that was taking place in that part of Waikiki, exacerbated by the fact that we had not made the sewage infrastructure improvements. Okay, so dangerous situation, but you know what? It wasn't too bad because we quickly sprung into action. It really hurt our tourism economy. And I saw the stories about Hawaii now being an unhealthy place to come and visit. Okay, and I raised the sewer fees the first year there because I was anticipating this was going to come. Second thing I did was I said we will never raid the sewer fund again. That's what they were doing. They wanted to balance the general fund, take money out of the sewer fund. Say, oh, nobody out of the sewer spill. The infrastructure, that can wait. Kick the can down the road. Let somebody else worry about it. We stopped that practice. Never happened. And then the third thing is that we put the city on a schedule to make these improvements to our infrastructure, not only Waikiki, throughout the paying attention to, and we ended a decades-long lawsuit against the city for not complying with sewage wastewater treatment. We were sued by the federal government and the Sierra Club. We settled it. We made a promise. We're not going to raise sewage flood anymore. And secondly, we're going to start improving our sewage infrastructure. So we'll have spills from time to time and the like, but I think the rapid response that we put into place and the need to accelerate improvements will mitigate that big time as we go into the future. Waimea Valley. Okay, today we are in a remarkable place in Waimea Valley. It's devoid of development, and the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has been entrusted with keeping Waimea Valley preserved generation. Let me tell you what I inherited. I come on as mayor. There's a gentleman that had the development rights on top of Waimea Valley. They build lifestyles for the rich and famous, and he was determined to go through it. Despite protestations from the current city council, administration, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, the Trust for Public Lands, environmental groups, conservation groups, no, it's not horrible. You can't do that. Well, he had every right to do so because that was the law. So many of you look at me and you say it's Polynesian. But I also tell you that I have a little bit of German. Okay? This guy's name was Christian Wolf. Never forget. Okay? And I said to his attorney, let me come ahead and talk to him. He said, no, man. You guys, do you have the 20 million that he's looking for? I said, no, we don't. I reached out to the military. I made a convincing argument that they need this for a buffer area. They're putting monies in there. Office of Hawaiian Affairs is. Trust for Public Lands, the city is. This is how much we can afford. But what makes you think you can move it? So I don't know. I'm going to try. So I went back to my high school German courses. I memorized everything that I could remember my German. And then I went to see him. Of course, I go in there, he's back in the studio. Walk in, and I said, Herr Wolfer, is here no one? That's fine. He turns around. Deutschland? I said, yeah, it's for the Deutsch. Every German I could remember, I threw at him, hoping that he wouldn't come back and engage me in a long conversation. I said, yes, I know I don't know German, but Hanuman is a very common German name. I know they say Hanuman in Hawaii, but it's Hanuman if you go to Germany. Guess what? We had a deal. Came down on his price, Waimea Valley said, an Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I say that to you because we have to do everything that we can in our persuasive powers if something's important to this community. Not just short term, long term. I didn't know whether he was going to buy the fact I was German. I didn't know he was going to ask me for my birth certificate or whatever. I just knew that I had to try something because he had the development rights to go through it. So this is a good place. Next. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that are very good. Hypostasis. Choke pressure on me to open this up. Choke pressure today to open this up. Okay, but I'll never forget the words of the fire chief at that time. Still rings true today. You will put firefighters' lives at risk if something should happen on these steps. Okay, I did not want that weighing on my conscience. So until the government, someone does what it can to fund the improvements that need to be, and I don't know if you can even guarantee 100% safety and the like. That to me, that is a decision that needs to be maintained. Because all it takes is someone to lose their lives, trying to hike illegally, and then this will be a terrible situation. So it's still there, and no one has really stepped up yet to figure out what it's going to take, because it's a very difficult hike. You all know, some of you may have tried it, whatever. It's really next. Okay, here's the kind of stuff that keeps us awake at night. We live in a world of, instant emails, Instagrams, the whole 9 yards. People who are encourages visitors in particular. You need to go check this out when you're in Hawaii, especially in this place, and they'll guide them and they'll tell them exactly what to do. Okay? This is very dangerous. Can't be done. The lawsuits will come up with yin yang, and government will be held accountable, ultimately all of us taxpayers. So this is something that we really got to watch and monitor. It's happening, it's increasing regularly. I hear it anecdotally when people go up successfully and they come back and say, I don't want to hear it. How did you get up there? I want to know. Oh, there's not enough signage, there's not enough this and so forth. But we've got to do it. The big island, this is a major problem. Especially on the big. Okay, next. Okay, I want to applaud Hawaii because they have come up with a tourism strategic plan, the first county that's engaged their stakeholders from government, from the private sector, Hawaii chapter of the HLTA, the HBCD Hawaii chapter, and the Chamber of Commerce to come up with a proactive plan to promote sustainability in tourism. Okay, that's Hawaii. Maui is starting to do it. Oahu, silent at the moment. The Big Island, very little is being said about this. This is so important that these kind of conversations take place. And I'm saying to our visitor industry stakeholders, it's important that we be part of the process, we be at the table participating in those discussions. Why? Because if we're not there, then you're going to have others who may not understand tourism as well. Or those that will do it to just kind of shut down tourism altogether, as some of those extreme measures that you see, dictating the conversation. So I'm saying that don't get fooled, don't get lost into complacency with the fact that we've got a record number of tourists. To me, we're at the tipping point. 10 million is a lot. What we should be focusing on is managing tourism and not just marketing tourism. Those decisions have to be made. We're going to have new leadership at the Hawaii Tourism Authority. I think I'm speaking out of school, but there's going to be a new leader. I can't wait for him to get it because he gets it, he understands it about the visitor industry with respect to this. And we're going to work very closely with the HTA to drive these kinds of conversations. It will lead to a concrete plan of action. Let's talk about what Hawaii is talking about. This is their goal. Refocus tourism, responsibly manage the economic activity of Hawaii in a sustainable manner, while creating memorable experiences for visitors, improving quality of life for residents, and ensuring the stewardship of our natural cultural resources. Sounds like a mission statement you folks would hear. Yeah? You see what happens when you have these conversations? You know, and that's why I'm telling guys who want to keep person, you know what? No scale, get to the table. Because this is what we would want. I don't care if you're in this of 3,000 visitors every year. Wouldn't you want this? Isn't this fun? Isn't this culturally sensitive? That's what I'd like to see happen. So here's some of their recommendations. Work with government leaders to gain a voice in decisions that impact the number of visitors to Hawaii. Sounds simple enough. But we all know government sometimes, slow to spring into action, or it takes a crisis for them to come to the table. That's why I'm saying, let's not wait for the critical points to occur, or more disasters, sewage spills, whatever, or accidents, whatever. Let's start now. Let's get that going. Control the use of housing, vacation rentals outside visitor destination areas, to free up housing for residents to take care of neighborhoods. This illegal transit vacation rental is a big, big challenge. I want to make it clear what my position is. I don't want to. He stays at a transit vacation rental out in the Riverside. He was president. President comes down, stays at a hotel. Okay? People should have options and choices. But what we don't want is folks who skirt the rules and regulations and don't pay their taxes. Okay? If we're paying it as a lodging community, so should they. Okay? So there's some there saying they're doing it, I say fine. There are others that are nothing better than not to pay. The other thing you gotta keep in mind, this is not a hotel versus transit vacation rental issue. It's DVRs versus communities. Because communities are being impacted. It can change the character of a neighborhood. Okay? Also, another concern. With those two near disasters that we had, we could call it disasters if you're from the Big Island, the Puna area, or you're from Kauai North Shore. I heard so many examples of those that rented transit vacation rentals that were on their own in terms of where to go to seek safety, who to get help from, and so forth. Most secure and safe places to be, of course, is at a hotel. We tell you that all the time. We have built-in safety, security experts there. We work very closely with the law enforcement officials. We keep you safe and secure. So this really has to be somehow mitigated to the point where the state takes action. We tried at the airport corporation 3 years. They can't agree on it. So we're saying, forget the state, let's go to the county. So this is what Maui did. Maui voters went to the polls, and they now have a charter amendment that they passed that increases the fines for illegal transit vacation rentals from $1,000 to $10,000. And now they are also going to fine you, $1,000 to $20,000, and they will fine you $10,000 a day. Okay? Hawaii has a separate classification now to collect the taxes for those that have transit vacation rentals. I would have a separate classification. Okay? The Big Island, November 20th, will pass their first major comprehensive reform legislation to deal with this issue. We're trying to do it here in Oahu. With all due respect to Mayor Caldwell, this is how difficult this issue is. He went 3 times to his own planning commission to get them to adopt a comprehensive plan that he wanted to do to control this. His own members rejected him twice. That's amazing. He appointed those folks, but they didn't like the bill. So the 3rd time he went, begging them to do it, he put some action. So we want the city council this year to put some meat and potatoes in it, even talk about maybe we should take some time out and do a moratorium. I'll throw that out. Not for those that are already doing it, for new permits to come in. Because they need to get their house in order. We're talking $35 million minimum of what could be collected if we start going after those that are not paid. That's just a minimum. If you get all of them doing it and paying it, then they wouldn't be talking about always raising the transient accommodation tax or using it for other purposes. That TAT that they take from people who want to stay at hotels, whether they're a visitor or resident, do you know that 60% of that goes into a general fund? You know what the purpose was when they said we want to tax the tourists? It was supposed to be for marketing of Hawaii, pay for the convention center, and for public safety. Firefighters, police officers, lifeguards, emergency ambulance. But over 60% now of that $545 million goes automatically to the general fund. And they spend it for whatever they want to spend. See, this, if they start collecting from the illegal vacation rentals, that would go a long way to stop their pension for always taking from the TAT and putting it in the general fund. So there's more money. Thirdly, implement a multimodal transportation system for residents and visitors to reduce congestion and carbon emissions. Make sense? Homewood for long soliloquy about this one. That's why we need rail in Homewood. Okay? Third, develop management plans for heavily visited parks, beaches, trails, and cultural sites to determine capacity and protect and conserve the resource. Increase the use of sustainable practices throughout the visitor industry to conserve resources and protect the environment. Lastly, involve government, business, and community as partners. Visitor industry. Involve visitors as co-stewards of communities and the environment. So I think we can all agree these are great recommendations. But as we all know, the devil's in the details. What do we do with these great statements and ensure that we follow up and follow through? And more importantly, what Kauai has done, little Kauai, Hawaii and Niha, the smallest county in the state of Hawaii, we've come up with this. Every county has to have these kind of conversations. And then we need to do a statewide plan to ensure that we are getting ahead of the curve and doing it before tragedy takes place again with a major sewage spill in our community, or God forbid, another accident or whatever. Otherwise, Canal, great example. We need a flood control plan. You know that the federal government has set aside $212 million to start this whole conversation, and we're still just talking about it. Okay? I shudder to think what would happen if we have another natural disaster that will come into Waikiki, create major flooding there, that all the way to what would happen. So once again, we dodged 2 bullets this year. Let's start being proactive and make sure your government officials are at the plate with the stakeholders to ensure the plan is being put for safety, not just for visitors, but residents and the workers that we have to collect. So that's my monotony that I wanted to share with you today. And the importance is I applaud you as an organization for what you're doing for sustainability of tourism. But here's the other action strategy. You also help us preserve our host culture. You know, we're very blessed that we have a place that is welcoming as we do here. We're very blessed to have a rich cultural heritage. We need to preserve that for generations to come. Sustainability in tourism helps bring us closer to that goal, so that the generations today can understand it, and going forward, generations tomorrow will embrace it and say, this is Pono, this is the right thing to do. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Dankeschön, Herr Hannemann. Hello.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yes, 2 years of German in high school paid off. So I think we're about ready to start serving some food. So I'm sure everyone's hungry. I see people like eating their hand right now, so we can start that part of it. Give you guys a few minutes. We'll get into the awards portion of it. Just to piggyback a little bit off of what Mr. Hen said. You're doing great works in your communities. Involve your politicians, involve your city council members. Speak to them as business owners. Speak to them as people that interact with tourists on an everyday basis. A lot of them don't recognize some of the issues that we face. You know, again, we did, dodge a couple of major impacts here on Waikiki, at least. I know Big Island, Hawaii had some issues. Let's learn from that. Let's plan. Let's put emergency procedures in place in your organization. Let's make sure that we have a vision of the future. And then work with your, I hate to say it, competitors to build a little bit of a community to engage your local politicians so that they can listen to what you have to say and say, listen, me and my competitor, we're here standing with you today to say we believe in this and we need this change. That's how we can make an impact. And that's why we have this organization, is so that we can all stand together based on some common interests, and that's preserving Hawaii's unique culture and natural resources for future generations. So enjoy your lunches. We'll get to the awards in just a second here. Thank you for letting me get on my soapbox.
And I really appreciate what you said about dedicated tourism. I live in the United States, and our people right now is getting invited on vacation. And here we a lot of years we don't have
academia. That's
All right. Quick, I know we're having a lot of great conversations out there, but in the essence of all of your time, we're going to continue with the program. One quick thing to note, if you are a vegetarian, you probably got a green little piece of paper on your way in. Make sure that our servers can see that. That's how we know that you're a vegetarian. And then we're going to move on with our program. We're going to go into the first award that we're going to be giving out today. Oh, sorry. I see our hardworking volunteers trying to feed themselves. I'm sorry. So it is my proud honor to present the Volunteer of the Year Award. This is our Upa'aho Aloha Award. I'm going to be offering it to Dr. Linda Koss, if you can come up and join me. And I just have to say some amazing things. I don't even know where to start with her bio, but let's start with the official stuff. She's a Community and Economic Development Specialist in the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources. She's authored or co-authored nearly 200 articles. She has served as the administrator for the Hawaii Ecotourism Association. She's served as a de facto treasurer for the Hawaii Ecotourism Association. She serves as the academic advisor to the board. She is the one that cracks the whip when we need to get things done. She is the one that, she's also a bit of a real estate mogul. She also, she's a mail courier. She is a voice of reason. She, on a very personal note, helped get me through one of my hardest times in my life and pushed me really hard to be a better person, to be a better leader. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye on everything, but
I'm shorter than you.
But I think most importantly, you really push this organization forward in ways that we would not be able to do without you. We are in forever a debt of gratitude to you and all that you do for the organization. I wish this award could be larger than it is, because when you start marking people's service to an organization in decades and not years, you know you hit on someone that's really, really awesome for the organization, and someone that's just, I couldn't imagine someone being more invaluable than you are. Does everyone know that you might not be?
I won't be next year.
So Linda is going to be retiring. I'm sure that's unfortunate both for the Hawaii Ecotourism Association as well as for UH and all of the students that I know you have an impact on. So this is our last year to have her with us to help us. I mean, that being said, we are going to be calling her in Montana probably weekly, not letting her off the hook that easily. We all do Skype phone calls, whether it's from the remote, from the neighbor islands or Montana.
But I can't pick up the mail.
Okay, we'll pick up the mail. But again, I just want to say thank you for all of your service, for your tireless hours. And please, if you haven't had a chance to meet Linda, please take a moment, shake her hand, thank her. There's no way any of us would be in these seats today if this wonderful woman wasn't a part of our organization and doing all that she did. So please join me in congratulating her. Woo!
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, and now we're going to get into the tour guides. Tim McKay, if you can please join me out here. Oh, stand over here.
If no one introduced Chris Barson is the president of the Hawaii Ecotourism Association. He's been our president for a while now, and doing a great job. All right. So I got this little list here of the tour guides of the year. So starting off on Maui, we have Lila Jones from Hawaii Mermaid Adventures, Mermaid Skin Snorkel Guide. So it says here, Lila Jones grew up being fascinated with the ocean. This love inspired her to pursue a degree in marine biology. 8 years ago, she moved to Hawaii to earn her bachelor's in science from Hawaii Pacific University. During college, she sailed over 3,000 nautical miles studying carbonate chemistry. Trying to figure that out. In the Caribbean, of all places. Upon graduation, she worked as a NOAA fisheries observer on the Bering Sea. Ooh. She once again returned to Hawaii, shockingly, with the intention of connecting people to Hawaiian reefs as a mermaid. She is the lead mermaid of Hawaii Mermaid Adventures, a sister company of Hawaii House Sports, and focused on sharing her love of the ocean through mermaid adventures. She always makes it a point to participate in beach cleanups, local fundraisers, giving back to the Maui community. In the last year, Lila has also traveled to the nation speaking on the importance of conservation, how art can fuel conservation movements, and ethical wildlife interactions. Like she was doing it back in the room just a little while ago. Her goal is to plant the seeds and nurture lifelong stewardship to the environment by connecting people to the magic of the world. So thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Here we go.
Perfect. Okay. Moving further to the east, we have the Big Island. We have Carrie Dean from White Forest and Trail.
Carrie.
They got their own dance going on here. We'll get this done so that. All right. You good? All right. Gary Dean has led interpretive nature tours at Hawaii Forest and Trail for the last 17 years. We're just gonna let that sit for a second. All right, as HFT's senior full-time guide, he serves as a coach and mentor to other guides and plays an integral role in the country's pursuit of excellence and guest experience. He's also an accomplished birding guide and a key contributor to the company's sustainability mission. He wholeheartedly supporting and providing iterative advice on everything from the company's reusable water bottle program to ensure that tours adhere to proper rapid reduction protocols. In addition, he volunteers each year for Native Forest Bird Counts, which gathers essential data for Hawaii's forest bird conservation. He volunteers his time in support of HFT's free school field trips and in support of community and conservation organizations, including tree planting. Gary continues to invest in his craft by attending interpretive training programs, including Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and Sam Ham interpretive workshops. Global cultural programs, sorry, missed that one up. Kona Historical Society and educational lectures. And the Hawaii hosted IUCN's World Conservation Conference. Gary.
Thank you. All right.
Jumping to the far west, we're going to go to Kauai. So can we have Mana Manoi Agi come on up here? Mana's been part of Ranch Adventures Ohana since 2009. Almost 10 years engaged the with at least 12 generations Kauai ancestry, going 13, Raja. Shares Hawaiian history with accuracy and passion. Most recently, in June 2018, Mana earned his professional tour guide certification from Hawaii Tourism Authority. The genuine aloha that Mana has for his guests goes beyond a tour guide's daily routine. He shares aloha in such a way that as aloha extends to guest friends and families without having even met them. For example, Mana hosted 2 guests from the mainland whose granddaughter was terminally ill. They shared with Mana about their granddaughter's love for the movie Moana, and asked Mana if he would pretend to be Maui on a video message for their granddaughter. Guess how I pulled that up? This video message turned out to be the last video she watched before she passed. A year later, the couple returned and shared with Mana the importance of the video to their family. This is just one example of how Mana's genuine aloha goes far beyond a tour guide's daily routine. Are we working? Okay, now to Oahu. Kevin Nanahara from Kamane Kids, Polokai Kayak and Snorkel. Kevin has spent much of his life in Kaneohe and joined the Kamane Kids in 2014 as an unpaid intern at PSC Park while pursuing his degree in natural resource environment management. At the end of his internship, Kevin accepted a full-time position with Kaimana Kids as a park caretaker at PSC Park and guiding Kaimana Kids' various ocean activities. He is now the most senior and most experienced ocean eco-tour guide with Kaimana Kids at PSC Park and leads guests on educational kayak, sailing, and snorkeling eco-adventures. He's been an instructor and leader of several boating and ocean safety classes at Kaimana Kids, offers free of charge to local youth, as well as Kaimana Kids' summer day camp waterfront program. This year, Kevin helped free a large hammerhead shark that had become stuck on a fringing reef during low tide and assisted in recovering a monk seal that had died and had been not connected. and have died and been reported in the bay. Kevin's attention to his guests, commitment to ocean stewardship, and passion for his job shows an immaculate reputation. Thank you, and congratulations. All right, so you guys that all want awards later before you leave, let's make sure we get everyone who came from your company with a photo over by the Hawaii Ecotourism tab. So back to Mr. Marshall.
All right, Kevin, first off, your paddle doesn't have the right name on it, I noticed that. Come see us afterwards, we'll get that straight for you. Just to, again, thank you to all the guides. You really are the ones that make an impact daily in our lives and our guests. So, really awesome work. Next, I'm going to bring up to the stage Lauren Lickley. She's our program manager for the Sustainable Certification Program, and she's going to talk about our new tour operators.
Aloha. Hope you guys are not getting into that with food comatose point now. Like Chris said, my name is Lauren Lickley. I'm the program manager for Hawaii Ecotourism Association. And what that basically means is I'm the one that bugs you guys all the time. So I'm always sending you emails and giving you guys calls. I've actually had a chance to meet most of you. If you haven't connected yet, please talk to me before you leave today. And I always like to put a name in the face. But yes, I am real. I'm real. There's a real person on the other end of those emails. I have been with Hawaii Ecotourism Association since 2016. I was brought on specifically through a contract with Hawaii Tourism Authority, and that contract was to expand the certification program. And I was focused on Maui and Big Island. And then by the end of that year, I had actually expanded to Hawaii and Oahu as well. So I was doing all 4 islands by the end of 2016. My background is in marine science, and I started out my professional career as a snorkel and guide on snorkel and whale watch boats. And I've been in the tourism industry here in Hawaii for almost a decade now. But one of the things that has allowed me with Hawaii tourism is, as you guys know, every single island has really unique challenges in addressing tourism, as our guest speaker was talking about earlier. So I appreciate the fact that I've been able to travel and really connect and understand the different issues and challenges, but also opportunities that each of our operators are dealing with. And I get it. I came from, like I said, I've worked with many tour companies on the island of Maui. So I know that when I say, hey, have you guys eliminated plastic water bottles yet? And they're like, oh, I'm going to get it next year. I know, I get it, and I'm totally sympathetic and understanding, but my job is to work with all of us and really, you know, improve what we are considering the standard for tourism here in Hawaii. I don't have a clicker. You have a clicker. Please click for me. I don't like not being in control. That's why I'm the program manager. Hello? So I just wanted to give you guys here in the room a little bit of background very quickly about the certification program. As Chris mentioned, we're in our 22nd year as Hawaii Ecotourism Association. And we began as an educational and outreach organization. In 2011, the board of directors created this pilot certification program. And over the years, that certification program is the certification program that we know today. Now, I will let you guys in on a secret. This past 2018, I spent a lot of time even improving the certification checklist that you guys did. And so now we're really, like I said, setting that standard and really trying to ensure that we are, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Another thing about this job, I guess you have to have a lot of this too. So one of the big changes that we've made in 2018 is updating the checklist, We've gone from a biannual certification to now it's every single year. That's really helped on my end. I think it's really important that we keep those lines of communication open. And again, always checking on if you guys, holding you guys to a standard, as well as you guys holding us to a standard as well. And we are here for you, and we're advocating on your behalf. And as Chris mentioned, as we move into next year, one of our shifts, we've really focused a lot on the certification program. But as we were just talking at the table, we're a nonprofit organization, and our focus is education, and it is supporting you guys, educating your staff, educating each other. This is a huge networking opportunity to give the tour operators in the state who are setting that standard, to get them talking, to get you guys engaged in conversation. So if you haven't eliminated the plastic water bottles, talking to Tim Lara later about how he's done it, and to build and mesh and blend all those ideas, and talk about those challenges, but also, like I said, the opportunities. We currently have 41 certified tour operators on Hawaii, Big Islands, Oahu, as well as Maui. And another big thing that we added this year was our Kono Travelers program. Any Kono Travelers out there who are official? None of you are, okay, there we go, we got a Kono Traveler. Like, this is not right. Okay, so our Kono Traveler program is one of the newest programs that we started, and it is essentially a secret shopper program. And all of you who went through recertification this year are going to be experiencing the Kono Travelers. And we send out, they can be community members. Some of our Kono Travelers were from off island, visiting from the mainland. And some of our Kono Travelers, my friends over in the corner, are other tour operators. And we essentially send out this Kono Traveler, the secret shopper, on an annual basis to evaluate the tour operation and to come back and to provide feedback. And that feedback directly supports our recertification process. Now, a key thing about Kono Travelers is that when myself or Chris goes out to actually evaluate a company, we really are looking at the nitty-gritty. Kono Travelers, you guys don't have such a tough job, but you do go out and we have it's all online, it's a short webinar that you watch, and then you come back and, like I said, evaluate those companies. Now, the great thing is that you essentially get to go out on these tours, experience the tours, and then you're reimbursed for the cost of that tour. And we have a really special opportunity because for our certified tour operators and employees of certified tour operators, it's $25 a year. For the general public, it's a $75 a year membership to be part of the Kono Traveler program. And right now, we are really trying to ramp this up. People have really enjoyed it. Where's Leah? Leah Souza. Yeah, she didn't raise her hand for Kono Traveler. So that we've had a number of individuals who have been able to go out and experience the tours. And if you're interested, you can talk to me later. I'll be sending out information in our monthly newsletter, which you guys should all be reading. Yes, Lauren, we're reading our monthly newsletter, and we're clicking on the links. But this is a great opportunity as well for your employees. So this time, we typically spend honoring our new certified tour operators. However, this year we only had one new one. She's not here, but I'm going to talk about her in a slide in just a minute. But I did want to take this time to, I have about 5 seconds to highlight every single one of you. So I said, okay, how can I do this? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was running through this. I'm like, I can't get everyone, but I want to, really give you guys a pat on the back, because without your initiatives and without what you do, we wouldn't be here. And I want to point out to you that as a nonprofit organization, I'm like the only one who's paid. So Linda and Dan and Chris and Tim and Andy and all these other individuals who are here as volunteers, and they've been volunteering and supporting this organization like that for the past 22 years. So I just wanted, and that being said too, as a nonprofit organization, focused on sustainable tourism, there have been talks, should we keep doing this? Should we keep donating all this time? donating this effort? What are we getting out of it? And it keeps coming back to the fact that we're the only organization in Hawaii that is nonprofit that specifically focused on sustainable tourism and spreading that message. We're the only sustainable tour certification in the entire state. And again, it's been mostly built from volunteer work. And so with that, it says we absolutely have a place at the table. We absolutely have the ability to change to address these issues that are happening and that are occurring. And you guys are doing that. So I want to commend each and every one of the operators who is here today, each of our 41 operators who you guys are really setting a standard, and the operators who are certified. And that being said, some of the key initiatives when I was going through all of the recertification calls that we have that sort of stood out to me is I'm noticing a lot of the operators jumping on this issue of single-use plastics, really taking steps to reduce their waste streams in general, which is critical because when we talk about infrastructure, one of our infrastructure, especially on the outer islands where we don't have H power, is what do we do with our trash? Where does it go? Right? Another issue, and now you can't recycle most of what we could recycle. So now a lot of that is ending up right in our landfill. That's gonna be, essentially our legacy if we're not changing that soon. Another big hot button issue this year was resafe sunscreen. And one of the things I've noticed is a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people really unsure exactly what the bill covers, what it doesn't cover, when it goes into effect, who it covers. But I've noticed a lot of initiative on the resafe sunscreen that I want to talk about. And of course, this topic of continuing education and certification for our guides. And it's what I was talking about in the back earlier, and it was a great discussion, but how do we really, take tour guiding to the next level? Look at it as a profession. You're not just 20 years old and a tour guide for a year, and then you're done and somewhere else. Our tour guides are the front lines of Hawaii. They're the ones who are representing these islands to our visitors. And that's a big responsibility. There's a lot of kuleana that comes with that. So I've noticed a lot of discussion around these certifications. We've had Kapiolani Community College who has launched the certificate for the professional tour guide. We've also had opportunities with certified interpretive guiding. But how we continue to connect this and how we continue to educate our guides and ensure that our guides are getting that continuing education is really critical and critical to us as Hawaii Ecotourism. So keep that in mind as I give each of you your 5 seconds of fame up here. But going to the next slide. I would like to welcome though our new operator of the year, Unique Maui Tours. She provides private luxury van tours, and she does Rotahana, but also is really trying to focus on West Maui because the Rotahana has some issues that we'll talk about. And she's not here today, but I would like to just go ahead and give her a little yeah, maybe she's watching the live stream. And go ahead and go to the next one. And I also just want to give a shout out to our corporate sponsors, which Chris did earlier. So thank you guys again, and thank you all of the companies who did purchase a table, Valley Isle Excursions, Atlantis Adventures, Hawaiian Paddle Sports, Kiku Ranch, Kualoa Ranch, and also Kama'aina Kids. Thank you guys. This is one of the biggest fundraisers of the year that we have, so your presence is really important to us continuing our work. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of go through island by island, and I'm just going to have you guys hold the applause, and we'll see how well I do on giving you guys your 5 seconds of fame. But like I said, really focusing on sort of those 3 things that I highlighted. I want to point out first with Atlantis Adventures and Kualoa Ranch, Frank and Tim are board members, and that's been really huge. And Frank is a brand new board member, so you can talk to Frank and ask, actually I don't think he's here today, but you can call him up and ask him how much fun it is to be a new board member and join our crew. One of the interesting things about Kualoa Ranch is they actually use refurbished shipping containers for their offices. And I had the opportunity to go out with Atlantis Adventures a couple months ago, actually one of the tour guides who's here today, and just really top-notch interpretation and education. In terms of talking about some of the plastic and reduction in single-use plastic, Pacific Islands Institute recently got a new office space last year. They implemented a recycling program. They also last year gave all of their employees one of the bamboo reusable sports sets. So setting their example with their groups. Holokai Snorkel and Kayak, also known as Kama'aina Kids, talk to Andy. I'm sure he has it on his phone, but he's really stoked about this awesome new video that they made. It's a 6-minute video that loops actually right in their main area where you check in, and it's talking about conservation and also best practices for when you're out on the reef, so like stewardship practices. And it was really well done, and it promotes their conservation efforts. With Hoku Hawaii Tours, they worked on reducing their waste, and also that tour guide, going back to the guide training, Leah has implemented quarterly workshops with guides and also internship opportunities with the local community, which talking about how, you know, we look at career paths in sustainable tourism. I thought that was a really unique concept, looking at interns and bringing on interns. Oahu Photography Tours is one of our newest certified tour operators, and they're a smaller operator, but I really enjoy is that he actually uses a shared workspace. So decreasing the amount of water, electricity, things like that are used because all of these small businesses can work out of the same shared workspace. And Kailua Beach Adventures really focused on cutting their waste this year. And this is a big topic that's come up. I've already mentioned single-use water bottles. If you know me personally, you know I have a personal vendetta against plastic pollution. And Kailua Beach Adventures, some of our operators are able to switch completely to reusable containers. For some, that's not an option. And I'm always flexible. We always talk about this when we go through recertification. And Kailua Beach Adventures has switched to boxed water. So it's coming out of a cardboard container instead of a plastic container. And it's called Just Water. So that's really new for them. I'm interested to see how it works, but that's helped them eliminate all plastics, single-use plastics on their tours and in their shops. New Creations is the same way. They've been working with local vendors and converting with their local vendors, Countryside Cafe, to eco-friendly products. And with the shrimp truck that they use on their Circle Island tour, giving the shrimp truck compostable containers that they use for their tours. So you don't want the polystyrene or the styrofoam. Maybe next year you'll get them to switch completely. I'll ask you that on your phone call. And then one interesting thing about Dolphins Excursion, which I found really neat, was they have a vegetable garden on site. It's this hydroponics garden out back, and they use the garden to source their potatoes, onions, lettuce, and kale for their cafe. So some interesting, things to think about. So let's give a round of applause for our Oahu. So Hawaii, if you guys have friends or tour operators, like Chris said earlier, your competitors, that Hawaii, we have 3 different companies, and we would love to expand. But these companies are really setting the standard and have been doing a great job. Hololo Charters is one of the first movers in terms of the reef-safe sunscreen issue. They've been offering reef-safe sunscreen since winter of 2017. They're offering the raw element sunscreen on all of their vessels at no charge to their customers. And another interesting point, and I think we had a very long discussion about sunscreen on our call. We both kind of arrived to the same conclusion. We really advocate, zinc or titanium dioxide as your primary ingredient. So if it still has all those other chemicals that you can't pronounce, we tend to say don't do those, because you can just slap a label on anything and call it reef safe. So they've offered or focused on raw elements. And they were also created a written policy to ban that states that spray and aerosol sunscreens are not allowed to be used on their vessels. And as you guys know, most of the time when you're using aerosols, the majority of it is actually getting on, your friend on the other side of the boat or on the boat deck. So I thought that was interesting. We talked a lot about written policies this year, and so great job. Kipu Ranch Adventures, I wanted to point out, actually, when I was talking to Dion and recertifying, one of the things that she had brought up was this big campaign, this donation campaign they launched for Shriners Children's Hospital, and it was really community-based and visitor-based. So when visitors came in and checked in, they could choose to donate to this campaign. The guides were able to talk about it and really took it to heart. And their goal was $15,000, and they raised $56,000 for Shriners. So again, going back to the fact that these sustainable tour operators, you guys really do have a huge impact on our community and our environment. And then Hawaii hiking tours, I will tell you, if you haven't met Jeremiah there in the back, he is one to just things. Like Jeremiah, you know, when I went out and evaluated in 2016, what if I could get some additional materials so you can pass out, you know, or show a bird guide or have some books that people can flip through. And he now has a reference library with over 50 books and resources that guides can borrow, as well as mini libraries of plants, animals, and natural history on every one of his tours. And he's like that. Also with training, say, hey, do this, and he's like, you know, light years ahead of me already. So thank you to our Hawaii operators. Okay, so Maui. I'm going to interrupt myself because I forgot on my notes. I also want to point out that hopefully you guys know that it's sustainable tour operator certification. We don't call this an eco tour certification because sustainable is much more holistic. With eco, you're looking at ecological, right, your environmental footprint. With sustainable tour operators, we're looking at the environment, but we're also looking at the community, the culture, what is our impact, and how can we improve it. So I just want to point that out because what you guys are doing, again, is really comprehensive. So I just wanted to point that out, that we're not eco, we're sustainable. So on Maui, we have 14 companies, not all of whom are here today. Those first 5, Hawaiian Paddle Sports, Hawaiian Mermaid Adventures, Maui Kayak Adventures, Maui Stand Up Paddleboarding, and Maui Surf Lessons are all sister companies with Hawaiian Paddle Sports. And what's really neat about this company and sort of what underpins the company, I'm going to talk about Hawaiian Paddle Sports more in a minute, but they go in and do a beach cleanup before every single tour on all 5 of these companies, every single day, for every single tour. They go out and do a beach cleanup, and then they share that beach cleanup, what they show to their guests, which I just think really embodies what the mission of those companies are, but also is showing, you know, the guests that we have a responsibility and we're taking action. They're also removing a lot of plastic pollution. Trilogy Excursions was recognized last year as our tour operator of the year in 2017. They have really jumped on the plastic pollution issue as well. One of their members is right now on the Eat Less Plastic voyage, traversing the South Pacific. And they've also developed 30 cultural narratives that focus on their tours. And so I'm excited to see how they utilize those cultural narratives to inform the cultural aspects of their tour and bring that in more. Valley Isle Excursions, one of our corporate sponsors, has been, you know, has put a lot of faith in me the past year and has committed all of their staff to certified interpretive guide training, which is an intensive 32-hour course. And every single guide with Valley Isle Excursions has not only completed that course, but is also doing a number of continuing education. So they've really embraced that educational aspect. And some of these guys are older than me, so they bring so much to the table, and it's been really rewarding to watch them grow and help me grow as well. Haleakala Bike Company actually is not here today, so sorry if you don't get their 5 seconds of fame, but they're doing a great job. And I think that's actually it for our Maui one. So give a round of applause for Maui. And by the way, I'm only doing the ones who are here. I'm giving you the 5 seconds of fame, so. Because you guys showed up. All right, and finally with the Big Island, Hawaii Island, you know, I want to first just, our brothers and sisters in our ohana on Big Island this year, they faced a lot, okay? They really had a lot to deal with in terms of both the volcano, as well as back-to-back hurricane threats or almost threats of or what's going to happen. And their bottom lines were really significantly affected, but even more important, their families were affected. The first, I'm going to get back to you, Bobby Gloves, but sort of on this note, one of our operators, Malcolm Mackay Adventures. I don't know if you know them, but Jill and her husband, they run a very small operation. They cannot be here today, and they're so small. They're running van tours, and they care about it. They both were born and raised on the Big Island, but they weren't able to come last year when they were certified either, just because their bottom line's so low, and they took such a hit this year. And Jill's father actually lost his house in Leilani Estate. So, I just really want to extend, our aloha in this room, because you guys are very supportive of each other, on these different islands. And they really struggled this year. But what I wanted to point out about Malcolm Mackay Adventures was a lot of you I've sent, here's a great example of what you can put on your website to promote your sustainable commitment. And that's actually from Malcolm Mackay Adventures. So Jill has created a really great page that you guys can model off of to share, your eco-tourism or sustainable tourism commitment. And sort of on the same frame of lava and lava flow, I wanted to also recognize Paradise Helicopters, because during the lava flow and when the lava was active, they were actually utilizing their helicopter operations to fly individual residents over their areas in Leilani Estates or over their properties to assess damage free of charge. And I can say thank you, but you guys know how much those families appreciated it and needed. So again, an example of this crisis situation and these tour operators really being able to help and support and sustain. So I just wanted to highlight that. With Body Love Cruise, I'm jumping back up and Michael. I thought this was great. Michael Bell joined the board of directors this year, and in addition, they're taking those steps to reduce. They've moved to all paper-based products and sustainable island products. But he also took it one step further. When we talked, I was really impressed because they invited one of the reps from Sustainable Island Products out to talk to their company and talk to their staff. So their staff can actually talk about those products with their guests in a meaningful manner. A lot of times we forget to toot our own horns. You guys are actually horrible, most of you. So toot your own horns, let people know what you're doing. I thought that was a great way when you have these new products to really be able to speak to them and let guests know why you made the change and why they're different. Sequest Hawaii is also a corporate sponsor, as well as Body Glove. Another big issue that's come up for our snorkel tours is how we sanitize masks without using bleach. So it's an ongoing topic that we've had, and they've actually created their own that they mix with Greenworks, which is a naturally derived chlorine bleach, and they mix it with dishwashing detergent. So talk to Manu over there about that, because a lot of other companies have had that question. In addition, they give crews reusable shopping bags for when they go and do food pickup. So I think we can read about that sometimes, and I loved how they gave that to their crew. Hawaii Forest and Trail has also in the past been recognized as a tour operator of the year. One thing that I loved is that talking about volunteering. You guys offer paid time off to their employees for volunteering. So if you're a full-time employee, you can earn up to 16 hours a year to volunteer, and for a part-time, up to 8 hours a year. So that's a really great thing to emulate. Fairwind Cruises, I actually don't think they're here, but they joined the Kuleana Green Business Program and also switched to bamboo ware. And let's see, Sea Paradise, I don't think they're here either. They installed solar on all their storefronts, and they were also hit with some issues this year, but I was proud to see them install solar on all of their storefronts. Don't change yet, because the last thing I want to say, because I'm actually early as well, but another thing that's come up has been this idea of marketing. Lauren, what are you guys doing to market us? What are you guys doing to better promote us? And that's why I go back to the idea that, remember, we are a nonprofit. We are small, and our focus is education and outreach. But each of you guys, I did not hand out certificates today to all of you recertifying organizations, because we're trying to minimize our waste. You guys have the logos, and you guys have the seal of approval, which is actually not here. And you guys can do with that logo as you want. So put that everywhere. You know, Body Love Cruises has created like a placard that they now put on their boats and that they've attached to the front when you go up to get water. So people are seeing it. The crews remember to talk about it. People are asking questions. So you guys have the ability to utilize and promote that logo. And honestly, the more you guys here promote this organization and this certification, is going to have way more impact than if, you know, us as a nonprofit. So we continue to promote and market, but I'm also turning it on to you guys this year. So be proud of what you do, be proud of the certification and the organization, and be able to speak to it. And what does that mean if I secret shop your tour and say, you know, to one of your guides, hey, what is Hawaii Ecotourism? I want to make sure that these people say, oh yeah, that's that thing, that's blah, 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 blah. I want them to be proud of it and know what it is. And like I said, our biggest goal for you guys as tour operators is to see you improving year over year. And I think that with that annual certification, we're consistently going to see, you know, each other pushing that level of sustainability and addressing our new challenges. So at this point in time, I would like to recognize Hawaiian Paddle Sports as our 2018 Certified Tour Operator of the Year. And you're gonna have to awkwardly stand here next to me for a moment while I toot your horn. Or are we taking the picture? You're tired of me talking. Oh, I'm holding it.
All right, thanks.
So I'm gonna say a few words before you take over, Tim. If you ever go out on the Hawaiian Paddle Sports Tour, the very first thing they start with is kuleana. And what's really interesting is that they don't just stop there. They go into talking about how if we have the privilege to be able to utilize the ocean, to make a living off the ocean, to fish and dive and surf in the ocean, to enjoy the ocean every day, then we have this kuleana, or this responsibility to also take care of it. And that's how your tour starts. That's like the first sentence. So welcome to Hawaiian Paddle Sports. And I think it does such a good job of setting the foundation of what Tim Lauren has created over the past 8 years. This award has been a very, very long time coming for this company. Tim has consistently set the standard and shown how he is dedicated to the kuleana and how he is dedicated to his responsibility of what he sees as a tour operator and a tour owner. Like I said, in 2010, Hawaiian Paddle Sports was launched, and it was launched as a company specifically to educate, to spread the environmental awareness, to promote sustainable practices, to spread the Hawaiian culture. In 2015, they became the very first certified B Corporation on the island of Maui, and the 7th in the state of Hawaii. And then for those of you unfamiliar with B Corp certification, it's kind of like what you used to call organic certification for milk or for apples. But for tours and businesses, B Corp is really, you know, a really high standard, and it's an internationally recognized standard. So it was a really big step for Tim to take and dedicate his company to that. Tim Lauren has served on numerous nonprofit boards. He's very, very active in the local community. He ensures that the company's actually is walking the talk, and you can see that they've eliminated plastic water bottles and all single-use plastics. They advocate for community policies regularly at both the state as well as the county level, and they conduct beach cleanups before each tour and infuse both Hawaiian culture and environmental education into every tour. They also launched a monthly Malama Maui Give Back program, and last year in 2017, through that program, raised over $32,000 and 600 volunteer hours for community organizations on Maui. They created the Paddle for Hunger event, where they go out and get again, Hawaiian paddle sports, so they're focused a lot on paddling. They're getting canoe clubs out on Thanksgiving Day. They'll start the day with a paddle, and then everyone also brings a canned good for Maui Food Bank. They also launched the Paddle for Keiki event, so very similar, but on Christmas, a couple weeks before Christmas, everyone goes out and paddles, raises funds, but also donates to our underprivileged youth. They received numerous awards just last month. They were recognized by Surfrider Foundation Maui chapter as one of the Ocean Steward businesses of the year. And for many of you, if you ever opened that recertification follow-up letter I sent, it had written policies. And you can thank Tim for all of those drafted written policies, because those are a key part of sort of baking sustainability into your company's DNA. And Tim was kind enough to let you guys utilize those and send this out. So like I said, I've known Tim for a long time. This award you're extremely deserving, and one thing that I said at the table is he's never satisfied. A lot of companies say, okay, we've reached this point, we're good, we're operating, we're doing the best we can, we're great. Tim always says, what can I do better? And I think that's really made him stand out and stand apart. So Tim, I'm gonna turn it over to you, but I just wanted you to have the recognition, know that we really value what you do and everything that you've done for Maui and Hawaii.
Thank you so much. The vision of Hawaiian Paddle Sports is to cultivate kuleana globally. And so if you ask yourself, your ocean activities, how do you cultivate kuleana globally? And the reality is we have a global visitor industry that comes here to Hawaii. And as she mentioned, we start off by talking about what our kuleana is, both as guides and as a company, and then impress upon our guests, they also carry kuleana. And so if they take that back home, wherever they're visiting from, then we're fulfilling that vision of cultivating kuleana globally. Those little ripples, if you will. So whether it's somebody going back home and protecting a stream, lake, or river, or simply just picking up trash when they're out on a hike visually. The mission of Hawaiian Paddle Sports is to foster connection through ecotourism. And so that's how we go about fulfilling our vision. Io Kepaneola was a culture advisor and good friend of mine to our company at Hawaiian Paddle Sports when I first started paddling, impressed upon me that early in my life that we all carry kuleana. It's this double-edged sword. We have a right or privilege, we have a responsibility in correlation with that. And so, again, as she mentioned, we have a right to access the ocean, play in the ocean, and in our case, make a living in the ocean, then we definitely have a responsibility to care for the ocean. And we do that many different ways. We actually, when I started Hawaiian Paddle Sports, I was serving as the chair of Surfrider Foundation's Maui chapter. So a lot of my personal values bled into the company, and I was serving as the Rise Above Plastics chair at that time. So we started off right from the beginning using stainless steel water bottles. We were the first company, ocean activity company, paddle-wise, to use stainless steel water bottles instead of single-use plastic water bottles. We do a beach cleanup before every tour lesson, and we encourage our guests to get involved with that. We adhere to a very strict no-touch policy underwater, so at the beginning of our tour, we explain to our guests what that means, that we won't be pulling octopus out of the hole or picking up sea urchins and passing around, and we ask them to join us in on that you might see other people doing that. And we rather just take pictures and leave them as they are. And then we have our Malama Maui campaign, as she mentioned. So every month we connect with a different nonprofit, perform a service project with them to give back, not only to the community, but also to strengthen the community, protect our natural resources. And I think this has really grown over the years. It started as a very informal thing, and it's taken on its own. And for our guides, sometimes we have transient workers that come for 3 months, 5 months to work for the season and go back to Alaska or California where they guide during the summer. And it really gives them a chance to be grounded in the community and connect with the community in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. So help out these nonprofits. You see a lot of the pictures up here on the board. With the Pacific Cancer Foundation, paddling over to Lanai to raise money, or Powder for Hunger, Powder for Keiki. It really, as a business, gives us a way to give back to our community, but also I think the biggest benefit is for our guides to really have that sense of place and connection to their community. So it's certified B Corp. We're also a member of 1% of the Planet. If you're not a member of 1% of the Planet, I encourage you to look into it. Basically, it's 1% of your revenue, period, whether it's a good year or a bad year. It's going to go back to environmental nonprofits. So we joined that at the beginning of this year as well. Being a certified B Corp, as she mentioned as well, it's basically using business as a force for good. And it looks at many different aspects of your company, from an environmental standpoint, from a social standpoint, from an employee standpoint. And much like the Hawaii Ecotourism Association certification kind of pushed us to look at what we're doing, so did that certification. There was a lot of areas that were blind spots to me. I don't have children, and one of those sections talks about paternity and maternity leave. And so now we have paid maternity leave, paid bereavement leave. So these are all things that these certifications really help us do is expose those blind spots that we might not look at otherwise. And obviously there's a lot more to that certification, but I encourage you guys to look at that too. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm honored to be recognized here today at Swine Paddle Sports. And we were part of the initial pilot program with Dan Coons over here. It was last year's winner for Trilogy Excursions. I believe it was our company and Trilogy and Hike Mountain were part of that initial pilot program back in 2011. So, thank you.
All right, so we are just about finishing on time. Again, another round of applause for all of our winners today, all of our awardees. Just want to touch on that one a little bit more. Also, one thing that we always struggle with as a board is choosing this tour operator of the year. A lot of the times, the tour operators are sit on our board, and we don't want it to look like we're just awarding our board members prizes. So Tim is one of the board members that's going to be phased off of the board this year because of term limits that we have. So that's why we felt it was an appropriate time to finally recognize him, even though he arguably could have won this year over year based on the stuff that he's done. So again, we work really hard to make sure that we kind of keep those things. We walk our talk. I do see that we have a guest in the back, so I do want to say hello to Auntie Annette, one of our other board members who just was able to join us today. She's one of the founding members for the organization. Couple last minute notes. If you didn't get validation, you can get it downstairs at the front desk. Please grab your bumper stickers, probably display that on your tour vans, on your cars, on your mopeds, on your surfboards, wherever you want to put them. Use the hashtag TravelPono. That's the hashtag that we have for our organization. And again, thank you all so much for your tireless support. We definitely want to encourage. Oh, anyone that won an award, please stick around for a few minutes after, take some pictures over here. We're going to have a photographer over here. Again, if you're interested in joining the board or supporting becoming a corporate sponsor, talk to one of the board members out there. We'd love to have more support, or if you just want to volunteer some time, let us know. Again, thank you all so much, and here's to a great 2019. Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. Wait.